This next puzzle is a variation of a 3x3. Some people call it a bump cube or a mirror cube. I like this one. It's all white with black stickers, but if you've never seen it before, when you start turning it, yeah, not like a normal 3x3 at all. So the challenge here obviously isn't getting all the colors on the same side, because if that was the case, it would probably be done by now. I think the reason why this isn't a competition puzzle is where it is mass produced, they would have to pick specific dimensions for each piece, because some people could get an advantage over other people if certain blocks were specific sizes or more recognizable, and if they decided to pick specific dimensions, it might exclude certain companies that have already been mass producing their puzzles, and certain people's puzzles that have already been purchased might be junk after that. So what we have here is we have a relatively scrambled mirror or bump cube, and we're going to show you a pretty easy way to solve it. You could obviously use roux, you could do CFOP, but everyone learned beginner's method at some point, so we're going to be doing beginner's method solve on this. So what I like to do is I like to solve the thinnest side first. So I look for the really thin pieces like this one right here, and I will try to align it with the thinnest center. And you'll notice if it is matching, it will match flush, but notice this is not the right position it should be in. We'll check over here. Clearly not. Clearly not. So that's where that piece should go. Now this piece should definitely be in that layer, but you'll notice it shouldn't go here because there's a little gap there. So we're going to hide it, and we'll check to see if it goes right here. Notice it does not go here. It does not go here, so it must go here. So we're going to hide that piece. Put the piece we want to take, which was this one. Then we can rotate it back. And we're going to do this for the white cross, we would call it. We would call this the thin cross, I guess. Here's another piece right here. Now this piece obviously goes here because this is so much longer. So we're going to put that into position. And once again, you shouldn't be watching this video unless you already know how to solve a 3x3. So let's find the last piece that is really thin. It is this one right here. We can rotate it up to the top. So we're going to rotate it right up to the top now. And we have our thin crust. Thin crust. I must want some Pizza Hut pizza or something like that. I'm hungry. But we have our thin cross, not our thin crust. And we're going to move on to the corner pieces next. So here's a thin corner piece. Now, notice that this one is not as wide as the middle. So take a look right here. This one is bigger or more wide than the middle. This one is the middle, and this one is not as wide. Remember, we said this one's not as wide as the middle, so that means this piece has to go right here. So we're going to insert that piece however you would like to insert it, just as you would on a 3x3, and we are going to continue to do that for all of the other pieces. Here's another thin piece. Now notice this thin piece is a little long and it's wider than the middle. It's a little long and it's a little wider than the middle, so it has to go right here. We're going to insert that fella right there. Now I'm not particularly that good at this puzzle. I don't necessarily do it for a speed, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to do this for speed, you should obviously be inserting these with a different method other than beginners. So now this piece right here is definitely going to go in the top layer up here, but it's not going to go here. It's got to go here because it's a little wider. This one's not as wide. This one's pretty wide. So we're going to put it down. We're going to insert it into the proper slot. Now we have to find the last corner piece. It should be right here. There it is. And we're going to insert that fella where it needs to go. So what we have now is we have one layer, and it is the very thin layer. So I think you already know what the next step is. If it was a beginner's method, we're going to be putting in these edge pieces, these 4 edge pieces. So you already know how to put these edge pieces in with a 3x3, but how do we identify which one goes where? Well, look at this piece. This would kind of be like our white, or our opposite side yellow center. See how these pieces are the same height? Since they're the same height, they must be yellow. So we'll have to say like, aha, this piece is pretty high. It would actually reach up to yellow if we turned it upright. So that would be a yellow piece right there. We don't want to put that in. See how that one does not have any chance of getting that high? That means this is one of those middle band edge pieces. So what we're going to do is it can't go here or here because it doesn't stick out far enough. Let's check here. This one looks perfect. Now we have to make a decision. Is this going to go here or is it going to go here? Well, this looks a little wider than the center. This looks a little narrower than the center, so it has to go right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to run our insert move to put it in there. You can run whatever insert move you feel like. I really don't care. This piece is obviously not high enough to reach there, so we're going to check that one. Let's check it over here. It looks like it's going to work. Now, is this piece wider or narrower than this? I'd say it's narrower. It's not going to go here. It's going to go here. So we're going to do our insert move. Now it is properly inserted, and we're going to keep checking. It looks to me like this piece could be the same height. So we have a little bit of a problem. This piece and this piece probably need to be flip-flopped. So what we're going to do is we're going to run our insert move to get that out. We're going to find it, scramble around the cube a bit. That looks like it's high enough. Could be high enough. This one looks like the winner. It lines up perfect here. Now this one is narrow. This one is more narrow than that one, so it has to go here. We're going to run our insert move. Now we should have one more piece to insert here. This piece looks like it's high enough, so that's probably a yellow piece. This one doesn't look like it's high enough, or is it? I'm not sure. Let's find out. It lines up perfect with this one, so I think it is going to go right there. So let's run an insert to find out. So we have our first 2 layers done, and we're going to be working on our last layer. Now, you'll notice that this last layer already has all tops flush. So I'm going to mess up the top layer a little bit just so you can get a little bit of a tutorial on this. So the next thing on beginner's method we try to accomplish is a opposite side or yellow cross on top. We don't have yellow obviously, but we're looking for flush heights. So we actually have a flush height L shape. So we're going to go fix that with our beginner's method. So after we have that flush cross, we need to orient the cross. So you'll notice we have one piece in the right spot. This one actually has 2 pieces in the right slot. So if you know beginner's method, you know there's a algorithm that will change these 2 pieces right here. And we're going to run that algorithm right now. So now what we need to do is we need to make sure that these corners are in the proper spot. Not oriented properly, but just in the right spot. So when we run beginner's method, we will be done. Now this piece over here looks like it's the right length, but it doesn't look like it's the right width. This one doesn't look like it's fat enough. This one looks like it might be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stab at this and say this one's in the right spot, and we're going to run our rotation move to cycle these three. I think we're just going to have to run it once because it should move this piece from here to here, here to here, and here to here. Beginner's method isn't my favorite method at all. I usually am a CFOP solver myself. I'm not that good at CFOP. I still do 2-look, PLL, and OLL, but you got to start somewhere. And that was correct. So now that we have the corners in the right spot, we're going to orient them all properly. So we're going to orient this one, and these two are already oriented. So we're just going to run the beginner's method solve or finish on that. Make sure that this is going to be flush. Down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over. And we ran that twice and it's good. So we should have to run this one 4 times and it'll be done. Down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, over, and this should be it right here. Down, over, up. Yep, there we go. And we have our mirror cube or bump cube, whatever you'd like to call it, finished. The only thing that people may not consider this finished is if you look at the grain on this cube, the grain on this side is all flush. The grain on this side, you'll notice, runs side to side, so this one's not flush. So some people may consider this mirror cube not solved right now, but I always say, as long as you get it back to the cubic shape, I would say you've solved your mirror or bump cube. Hope you liked the tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please message me. If not, have a great night, guys. Thank you.